What is good, everybody? Carson there. Everyone had an amazing weekend. It is Monday once again. That means it is time for another football card pack opening video in which we discuss and recap the NFL Week 5 games. We've had a nice set of games for NFL Week 5, including 2 overtime games, one between the Ravens and Browns, and another Sunday night game between the Texans and Cowboys. Both of those games ending in a game-winning field goal. And then on top of that, we had a crazy 63-yard field goal in regulation for the Panthers to seal that game over the Giants, where the Panthers were in control for majority of that game, and then the Giants made a comeback, and then the Panthers had to make a drive to put Graham Gano in a field goal position, and they ended up getting him a 63-yard field goal attempt, and he nailed it. So a very long field goal to seal that game for the Panthers, which is pretty crazy. And we're not done yet, as we got the Monday night game tonight, the Saints versus the Redskins, which I am very, very interested in because the Saints defense performed very well last week, and I'm going to be interested to see if it's going to be a high-scoring game, like a lot of people are predicting, or is that Saints defense going to show up and basically slow that Redskins offense down? Because I know that Redskins offense is pretty banged up, a little banged up by the receiver position, and I just don't think the Redskins got enough depth on defense to really slow down Drew Brees in that offense. I mean, I think just got a lot of talent on that Saints offense. I mean, you got a speedster on the outside, Ted Ginn, and then you also got Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and then Mark Ingram's also back from suspension, who is probably going to get a little bit of goal line work there for the Saints. So it'll be pretty interesting to see if the defense last week for the Saints is going to show up, or is it going to be another high-scoring game. But we'll go ahead and get right into the pack opening. Today, we're opening up 3 packs of 2017 Absolute Football. Yes, 3 packs today of 2017 Absolute Football. 5 cards per pack. 3 packs today because I'm actually running out of packs. So I have to see if I will want to keep opening packs for these videos, or am I going to maybe do something else and talk, do the recap over doing something else. I don't know what it'll be yet, but maybe I'll just continue to open packs. But like I said, 3 packs of 2017 Absolute Football today, 5 cards per pack, so only a total of 15 cards in today's video. Actually, probably kind of a good thing. Keep these, this video a little bit shorter. I don't dare open a blaster box, that's for sure, because I think that video would be like 20-25 minutes of me just rambling on about the week games. So let's go ahead and get right into the first pack of 2017 Absolute Football. I think the biggest performance that I want to talk about is, how about the Crow? Isaiah Crowell there for the Jets. 218 rushing yards. I mean, that Jets team just literally gashed the Denver's defense there. Here's a Kids Reporter. But I mean, he had a heck of a game. And speaking about right here, pack number 1, another really solid game for the Steelers, which had one of the highest over-unders versus the Falcons, or actually the highest over-under I think we had this year so far. I believe it was it 57.5, I believe, or something like that, 57.5 or 58 over-under in that game, and he had a 2-touchdown game. And James Conner also had a monster day for the Steelers. But we start off pack number 1 with Antonio Brown, Josh McCown, Tom Brady, Alshon Jeffrey, who didn't really get going in that Vikings game. A lot of people projected that to be a fairly high-scoring game. I believe a little bit under 50 over-under wise. I just didn't see it. I mean, it got pretty close to the over-under in that game, but it was just because of Vikings had a defensive touchdown, and then the Eagles basically had a touchdown run towards the end of the game, which they had to recover an onside kick in order to come back in that one anyways. So basically 2 touchdowns that, the defense one was nice, but I mean, 1 touchdown towards the end was, just padding the stats a little bit. I just don't think that Vikings defense is as bad as people after getting lit up by the Rams. I just don't think the Vikings defense is that bad. But still a nice game there with the Eagles. Just Alshon couldn't get it going, but Carson Wentz definitely had a nice performance again in that one. Did fumble again, which led to that defensive touchdown for the Vikings. But we finish off pack number 1 with Pierre Garçon, who the 49ers had a fairly decent game. I believe Beathard had 5 turnovers, though. But in that game, it was nice to see David Johnson getting it going there for the Cardinals. 2 touchdowns on the day, so it was definitely nice to see him getting that offense moving a little bit. But nice Pierre Garçon there to finish off pack number 1. On to pack number 2. And then the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a really solid showing against the Jaguars defense. I mean, I think that actually the Chiefs defense stepped up, one of the highest scoring defenses in fantasy this week. They played a very, very good defensive game. And basically just shut down Bortles. I believe, but Bortles had 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, and 1 fumble, if I'm not mistaken there. And the Chiefs also had a defensive touchdown. But here's the guy to start off pack number 2, Julio Jones, who was kind of invisible in that Steelers game. I think the Steelers defense basically played a very good game, and defending him, I believe he didn't get his first catch till the 4th quarter of that game. So basically pretty much invisible in that crazy high over-under prediction in that game. That was a start off pack number 2. Got Demaryius Thomas, who I believe went over 100 yards and a touchdown in that Broncos-Jets game. Tyreek Hill, who was, for all that Jalen Ramsey trash talk, he was pretty much kind of held in check. Did get free on Ramsey for a deep catch. So did get some yardage and some receptions in that game. I mean, I think he's always going to get, you know, some decent stats because they just use him in the offense very well, moving around a lot, and you know, and doing, you know, if someone's man to man on him, they got a motion with them and stuff like that. So they do a nice scheme on that offense to get the ball in his hands. Carson Palmer and Quincy Enunwa, who actually wasn't the receiver to talk about in the Jets game. In that Jets game was Robbie Anderson for receiver-wise. I believe he went over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, hooked up with Sam Darnold twice for deep passes. So Robbie Anderson had a nice day there for the Jets. And then another Bengals actually had a nice comeback. As we go on to our last pack number 3 in today's video, the Bengals. I believe the Bengals had 2 defensive touchdowns in the 4th quarter, outscoring the Dolphins 24-0 in the 4th to seal that comeback for the Bengals over the Dolphins. So, like I said, I think they had the 2 defensive touchdowns, and I believe they were also around the same amount of points fantasy-wise for defenses as the Chiefs. So those 2 defenses performed very well for fantasy purposes and, you know, just for matchup purposes as well. Here's another kids reporter. Start off our last pack of Channel 70 Absolute Football today with David Johnson. Like I said, talked about him. I believe, you know, he got going. 2 touchdowns for the Cardinals in their game over the 49ers. Another running back that I want to talk about real quick is LaShawn McCoy. He actually finally seems to be, you know, a little bit relevant in that offense. He had a nice showing. I believe he had 85 yards on the ground and like 20 yards receiving. So it's nice to get him going. I think that offense definitely needs to revolve around him, especially with Josh Allen, rookie quarterback. I just think they need to, you know, get the hands in McCoy the ball a little bit more. So nice to see him go over around 100 total offensive yards in that game. That was the start off our final pack. Savon Diggs, who had a fairly nice game, but the receiver I want to talk about in that game is actually Adam Thielen. I believe it's the first player in NFL history to have 5 straight 100-plus receiving yard games. I mean, Adam Thielen was undrafted. So it's crazy to see an undrafted receiver start performing like that. He did perform very well last year, so it's really cool to see him do that. 5 straight 100-plus yard receiving games for Adam Thielen for the Vikings. Got Terrell Pryor, Adrian Peterson, who is going to be playing in that Redskins-Saints game, so he might have a fairly good game against the Saints. We'll have to see. It could be more of Chris Thompson, basically the receiving running back. Actually, probably more like a receiver. I believe one game this year, Chris Thompson already had 14 receptions or something like that in the game. So it might favor his abilities a little bit more than Adrian Peterson, but you know Adrian Peterson's getting that goal line work for sure. So if it is a high-scoring game, Adrian Peterson could have a fairly nice game. And then to finish off as for our last card in our 2017 Absolute Pack Opening Day, NFL Week 5 recap is Jeremy Hill, who actually Giovanni Bernard for the Bengals is going to be out 2 to 4 weeks, and Joe Mixon just came back. So they are relatively thin with Joe Mixon and Mark Walton now, and Thomas Rawls, so relatively thin at running back spot there. Joe Mixon had another solid workload this week. I believe he had 22 attempts for like 98 yards or something like that. Very solid workload for him, so hopefully he doesn't, re-aggravate the injury. I know he just got a little scope done on his knee to clean out some stuff, but hopefully he doesn't, re-injure that knee or anything like that with basically having to take the reins again with Mark Walton being the backup for a little bit, and Thomas Rawls. But that Jeremy Hill to finish off our pack opening of 2017 Absolute Football today. Like I said, a nice slate of games we had for Week 5, and we're not done yet. Like I said, they got that Saints and Redskins Monday night game tonight, which I'm very interested in. Like I said, I don't think the Redskins are going to have enough on defense to really slow down Drew Brees in that offense, but it will be pretty interesting to see what Saints defense shows up. That's what I want to know, because like I said, the Saints defense played a heck of a game last week, so it'll be interesting to see what, on that game tonight. But other than that, guys, this has been CardboardCellar, and I hope you guys enjoyed.